You for the kind introduction. Yes, my name is a little difficult. My name is Lalchhandami Tochhawng, but you can call me Dante. My voice is loud and clear enough? All right. I would like to first thank the organizing committee, NUS Graduate Student Society, and the Office of Student Affairs for giving me this opportunity. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to share my experience when I was an NUS graduate student here to the new graduate students of 2014. At the same time, I cannot help but think what an intimidating honor this is to stand in front of you. To some of you, the theme that I've chosen for today, the finish line, may sound a little odd. But I believe the extension of the very famous quote, "Well begun is half done," lies in maintaining a good job that we have started and to work steadily until we reach the finish line. So dear graduate students 2014, I'm not going to tell you another set of rules that you have to follow today, right? Don't worry. But rather, I'm going to talk to you about the invaluable lessons that I have learned as a graduate student during my 4-year course as a PhD student here in NUS itself, which I hope will at least in the smallest manner be helpful to you. Let me start by sharing the story of how I landed in Singapore. When I was 17 years old, a friend asked me if I was going to apply to medical college. That was a logical question because I was a biological science student. But influenced by the many science fiction stories that I used to read during those days, I told her, no, I'm going to study pure science. And then I told her further that I'm going to study till PhD. Now, at the mere age of 17, I didn't really understand what researchers do, but the only thing I understood was that getting a PhD degree would somehow land me a job in the university. Now, even though I didn't really understand, I somehow persisted in this track. A few years later, long story short, after I enrolled into science college, with the help of my very kind professors, I came to learn about the scholarship program that NUS offered. Applied to NUS, got admission by God's grace, and when I received my offer letter, I was asked to choose between two very interesting and equally challenging fields of study, neurobiology and cancer. Now I chose cancer, and I'll tell you why in a short while. I have a map here. Can anyone tell me which country is this?
India.
Oh, great. Well, I may not look like one, but I come from India. A state in the northeast corner of India called Mizoram. This is where I come from. Mizoram, with a population of just over 1 million, incidentally have one of the highest cases of cancer across India. And that makes me wonder, this is something that is worth looking, it is worth studying, and that I should learn more about cancer. And that is how I decided to take cancer study during my PhD, in the hope that one day I can contribute and become instrumental in spreading cancer awareness among my people. So with a purposeful heart, flew all the way down to Singapore. I know the proportion is not exactly correct, but if I do it correctly, then you won't be able to see. So, no offense though. So I landed up in Singapore. Was it like I expected? To be honest, I don't really know what to expect. It was my first time coming abroad. We now speak English, no offense. But somehow I like the people. I like the city, and best of all, I made new friends. And that's me, right there, landed into the dream job of doing cancer research in a laboratory in physiology department. But my face is a little blank and confused, isn't it? Well, I'm telling you, year one can be quite confusing. So like any other year one students here, I signed up for modules, I had to attend lectures, but in between lectures, I still have to do my experiments, because if I don't, I won't have anything to show my bosses and my thesis advisory committee. And so with so much in hand, you also long for your vacation, a well-deserved break to go and spend time with your friends and family. And that's just year one. You still have year two, year three, and year four. Now I'm not trying to scare you. The point that I want to stress here is the fact that if you don't know how to manage all these, life can be quite tough. And to be honest, year one was a little difficult for me, and I was a little stressed, and then I think I lost weight. But I gained it all back. Anyway, on a serious note, as a graduate student, it is important to know our aim. Right? We must know what we want. Once we have an aim, we can set a goal. A small goal, be it a small goal, it's fine, as long as it's a goal. Something that is achievable. When we have a goal, we're focused, we start planning and prioritize what is important at that moment, but don't underestimate. Now this may look like a set of rules, but like I told you, I'm not giving you any set of rules. This is just something that we, as a graduate student, have to undergo. So please don't underestimate any of these, because all of these are important. And if you underestimate, we start losing time. So we can try and set a goal. Ask yourself what you want. You must ask intelligently. Because if you don't know what you want, you won't know what to get either. You look for it, you ask, and you find it. So what's the best time to start? What better time than now, right? So we should stop procrastinating, and we can start now. So one of the very important things that I learned during my graduate study was learning on how to focus. Like we've mentioned before, there's so many things that we have to handle. You have to go for classes, you have to do your research, you have meetings, you have seminars. They're all very important. Like what we see in the picture here. All the 5 pencils are equally important and beautiful in their own way. An independent entity, but important in their own way. So we need to understand how to focus when you have so much on your plate. How do we do that? We should learn how to prioritize what is important at that moment in time. How do we do that? We can make a phase for each entity. We should also gather all our courage to identify and list down what are the possible distractions in your life. For some of us, it could be Facebook. So be brave enough to list it down, and don't open Facebook during your working hour. For some of us, it could be we're shopaholic, or we like our friends too much that we go and always talk to them during our working hour, and that is distracting us, right? So learn how to focus, because focus is important for happiness. If you focus, you'll keep on looking for it. You'll search. And once you search continuously, you'll find it. Because if you don't focus, you won't be productive. When you're not productive, you don't get the result that you want. And when you don't get the result that you want, you become disappointed. So focusing in your life is important for your happiness. So if you want to be happy, focus. The other strategy that I learned, and I give all the credit to my seniors who helped me in learning how to plan, because planning, it's all about planning in order to achieve our goals during grad studies. And we're so fortunate these days that we have so many varieties of planners that can aid us in planning, be it a simple notebook, be it phone apps or other online versions. You can choose what you're comfortable with. But what I want to stress is that don't think that you have planned up here, because as long as you say, oh, it's all in here, we tend to forget. So please write it down, make a list of your plan, and work according to it. In my experience, I usually have two categories of planning. One is a long-term plan, and one is a short-term plan. Now, long-term planning could be something like the very usual interview question. Where do you see yourself 10 years down the line? All right? Now, as a graduate student who just enrolled into grad school, that's a little difficult and superficial to answer. The more practical thing for a graduate student is to plan our daily activities, our weekly activities, make a timetable if need be. I do that many times. And give enough time for planning. Like Sunday evening, after I come back from my outing, I would sit down for an hour and plan for the week ahead. And that helps because it directs how well you spend your time for the following week. On a particularly busy day, make timetables. 8 a.m. breakfast, 9 a.m. start work, 12 noon go for lunch, 3 p.m. meeting, 5 p.m. data analysis, and so on. Now, why is this important and how did it help me? Because I know that when I start my work at 9 a.m. and I have to finish by noon because I have to go for lunch, I pay full attention to my work within that 3 hours. I give my full concentration, and that brings out the maximum potential, the maximum productivity in me. So try it out, it may also work for you. When you plan wisely, be practical, don't overload, know your capacity. Well, it happened to me once. So when I was in year 2, I was preparing for my qualifying exam. And I was working so hard for two months. Day in, day out, from morning till evening. Not really evening, it's like late night. I keep on working. But I was tired, I didn't realize. I was just repeating the same mistake over and over and over again. And at the end of 2 months, I did gather a lot of data, but all of them useless because I did not plan wisely. So lessons learned from my mistakes, I'm sharing with you so that you will not make the same mistake at least. And when we plan for a deadline, how do we plan? Let's say today is the 14th of September and I have a deadline on the 20th of September. So how do we usually plan for a deadline? I have an assignment to submit on the 20th. Do we count, all right, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have 6 more days, which is enough time for me to finish my assignment. Do we do that? Well, I was introduced to a new system where instead of counting forward, we count backwards. So on the 20th, if I have to submit my assignment, I need to have my final draft ready on the 19th. To have my final draft ready on the 19th, I need to have my semi-final draft ready on the 18th, which means I should have my first draft on the 16th, which leaves me with just 2 days. And therefore I should start today, isn't it? So that I can hand in a very, very nice assignment. So I hope it helps you. You can try it out. Another important thing that I learned is to identify one's strengths or weaknesses. Are you good in communicating? Are you good in listening, reading, writing? Or are you very skilled? Let me borrow the famous quote of Albert Einstein. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you will spend its entire life thinking that it's stupid. The answer is easy, right? Because a fish is a sea animal. It's a water animal. It definitely can't climb a tree. So I want you all to go back and ask yourself, what is my hidden talent? What is my gift? What is my latent potential? What is the genius in you? I like to talk to people. I would talk to my friends. Whenever I learn new things, I would just ask them, let's go for tea. I have something to share with you. So whatever I learned new, I would explain it to my friend. And explaining it to my friend enhances my understanding. Or at least, if I don't understand something, I would try to make an appointment with someone that I know is good in that field. And I would extract information from them, and later on go back and read more about it. So try to identify your strength, play to your strength, and use that to enhance your learning. Identifying your most productive time is another very important strategy. Now, by important time, I mean the time of the day, of course, not the time of the year. So, let me see a show of hands. Who are early birds? I see. I can count only 5. So, are we mostly like Mr. Owl here, who is quite awake at midnight? Alright, that's good. We know when we are awake or when we are asleep. So the important point here is to know when you're most productive. Are you most productive at 10 a.m. in the morning or at 10 p.m. midnight in the evening? That's absolutely fine. Identify your most productive time. If it's 2 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, use that time. Make it a routine every day to do the work that is most difficult, that requires the highest concentration, and use the other time of the day to do the less difficult task. So it's really important to identify your most productive time to bring out the maximum productivity in you. When we talk about the finish line, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Is it the grand finale? Well, before we can reach the grand finale, we must always cross our everyday or our weekly finish line. How do we do that? This morning, did we have an aim for today? Did we set a goal for today? Did we achieve it? We can ask questions like, did I learn anything new today? Do I need to change my strategy, my approach? Did I interact with anyone? What was the discussion? Was it important? You can also learn to do some kind of self-assessment. Look at yourself in the mirror. What do you see? Are we like Mr. Crow, who sees the very elegant and beautiful peacock? We should assess ourselves honestly so that we can see which areas in our life need improvement. As a graduate student, sometimes we tend not to understand the meaning of being flexible and open-minded. When I was doing my research, I was always asked to narrow down my research area because if you spread it out, it's just too superficial. I mistaken that, and then I became narrow-minded itself. Somehow, luckily, I woke up. So I would like to stress here that one should learn how to be flexible, adapt to the change in the situation that we may face, and absorb the good from it. Like for today, most of us are year 1 students. A lot of us may be new in NUS. For the people who have already been familiar with NUS, it's not too difficult. But for some of us who are new to NUS or to the city of Singapore itself, you might also experience a bit of culture shock. You don't know, you don't have any friends, you can't find things. But make this opportunity, use this opportunity today to learn new things, to make new friends. And also you can even go and try out the different canteens in the school to find out which canteen has the best food. And being flexible is very important, especially for research students. When you work under a supervisor who is the boss. Your boss is the one who is guiding you, and you have to understand, try to understand your boss, Try to learn his working style, his communication style. Even if you don't like it, bend a little bit, be flexible, at least for the sake of this relationship. Now, your bosses are also humans, and you can't expect them to be perfect. Try and appreciate the good in them and adopt it. I once heard them say that when students are quiet for too long, it usually means that they're stuck somewhere in their studies and they're too afraid to approach us. But if you understand from their perspective, they actually want you to approach them. Their office doors are always open. They are your supervisors. They're there to help you, and they're more than willing to discuss and hear about your ideas. So in order for your boss to help you, you have to help yourself so that your boss can help you. And also remember that your boss is still your boss even after you walk out with your degree scroll, because he is the one who is going to write the recommendation letter for you when you look for a job, alright? So we've said a lot of things. I might have scared you, but the only scary part is not knowing how to manage it. So if you know how to manage it, life is good, it's peaceful. But graduate students, no doubt, have to work hard. And sometimes life do get tough. So when life gets tough, go interact with friends. If you feel depressed, maybe your friend is also depressed, and you can share how depressed you are and you can make a joke out of it. Go socialize. Go get some fresh air. Go for a light jog. It helps. A sound body in a sound mind, remember? Most importantly, take enough rest. Your body is not meant to work 24/7. So, agree with this proverb here. A good rest is half the work done. So I really wish the best for all of you, and I pray that you will finish and cross that finish line, not only academically successful, but as a better person. And I'm going to wrap up here with the picture of Mizoram. Enjoy Mizoram. Thank you all very much for your attention.